And welcome to the next installment of the DayZ Spotlight. And this week we are shining the spotlight on the one, the only Martin. How do you pronounce your surname properly? I keep on saying Kulak.
Oh my God. So yes, hi everybody, by the way. Yes, the correct, like not the correct pronunciation, but the usual pronunciation that English natives always say is Kulak, and I'm kind of going with that. In Czech, it's actually Chulak, so it's like choo choo, the hype train sort of
Yep,
thing. So it's Chulak.
Chulak. Okay, that's
Yes.
easy to remember. I just being
If
a
if there's any sorry, if there's any like Star Wars fans, there was the TL from Chulak, the bald guy in Stargate, and basically this is the same pronunciation as the planet name Chulak. It's just with a longer A. So
there you
yeah.
go. Mate, how have you been? We've been looking at doing this interview for quite some time now, and we finally managed to tee up
Yeah.
the times and get all the questions in, and yeah, very, very
Yeah.
excited for it.
Yeah, so as I think is pretty much expected, we are extremely busy because we announced last year that Daisy is going to be that this year is going to be sort of the year of Daisy, and well, it's not maybe fully apparent yet with the stress as being the first kind of tease towards that. A lot of things is happening behind the scenes on preparing us for the big releases that should happen this year, and that's PC experiment release, PC beta release, 0.63 stable consoles, and eventually the full release of the game out of early access.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of behind the scenes work connected to that. Uh, and it's a lot of figuring out like when do we do these releases, what exactly do we tell the world on these occasions. So there's a lot of the behind the scenes work happening, and so yes, I'm extremely busy, and that's why we were also trying for a very long time to arrange this interview.
No, excellent. So I think the first thing we should do, mate, is get to know a little bit more about you, the man, the myth, the legend. First up, how old are you, buddy?
So I am I 25, 26? I think I'm 26. Yeah,
Mate, you're not
that
meant
would
to
be the
forget
right
your age
answer.
until you get as old as me and Spaggy.
Yeah. Well, I always say that, this age, like between 20 and 30, so many stuff is happening that you just lose track of time sometimes. So yeah, no, but I'm 26. Yeah,
Yep.
that's my age.
And any family?
No, I do not have family yet, although I have a very wonderful girlfriend who's probably going to be listening to this podcast. So, yay.
What about any cats or dogs?
No, no pets, unfortunately, but I would love to have a dog, definitely.
Yep. And obviously, we know what your job is. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so officially my title on the game is brand and PR manager. And what that really means is I should be the person who's mostly responsible for the things we communicate outside to people in general, be it our community, be it journalists, the rest of the games industry, and pretty much anybody outside from the company. So my role is to find the information inside the team and communicate it in a rather let's say efficient manner to the audiences out there. That's ultimately my job,
Yep.
and it includes pretty much everything from creating a website for Daisy and managing the forums and yeah, dozens of different things.
Do you have any other hobbies outside of gaming and work?
Game any other hobbies? Hmm. I'm, well, I don't read as much as I used to, but I definitely like to not only read stories but educate myself. I'm a huge nerd in some way, so
Yep.
I do like to read a lot, and I'm really like a curious person. So I try to educate myself on YouTube and reading articles online. Uh, and so yeah, that's the kind of stuff. I'm not really a sports person, unfortunately. So most of my life I'm just sitting on my ass. Yeah, but I do love to have a nice hike in the woods, thing like that. So
When you say
and yeah,
read, anything in particular? Non-fiction, fiction, science?
So
fiction.
right, I have a thing for like spy novels and
Yep.
this sort of themes. So yeah, this is kind of my thing, definitely. And
Okay.
then I read a lot of like the fact literature, so like just educating myself in my field or any other interest things that interest me.
Yep. Now, what is the origin of your online name, Raptor M60?
Okay, so that was it could be something like 15 years ago, maybe, when I was really into this one game that was called Viet Cong. No, it was not 15 years, maybe like 10. All right, let's say let's stick to that. And so in this game, Viet Cong, it was made by one of the actually guys who now work at Bohemia. There was one character. His name was Hornster, and he really loved his gun, which was M60.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of it was a terrible gun in that game. I mean, you couldn't shoot a massive big barn in front of you because it was just so inaccurate. So everybody, hated that gun in the game, and so intentionally I just picked that gun as my kind of favorite because I sucked anyways in playing the game. So why not just pick the worst weapon in the entire game and make it my favorite? And so this is the M60 part, and I'm a huge fan of Tomb Raider,
Yep.
and I think there were those raptors at it in one of the games there, something like this. So that's where I got the raptor, but I'm not entirely sure. Then again, I also like the F-22, uh, whatever
Yeah, the
the
Raptor.
jet
Yep.
fighter. So this is kind of I'm not entirely sure what was the exact combination, but it's not really an interesting story. My nickname is very random.
Now, I
So
think I
yeah.
remember that scene from the Tomb Raider. I can't remember which one it was, but you had to drop the dinosaur body down into the pit to
Mm.
distract them,
Yeah.
so you could cross. I remember
Yeah,
that. Um,
somehow there were raptors somewhere in Tomb Raider, and
yeah.
it it sounds cool. It sounds like sound like a tough guy. And when you're a teenager on the internet, you want tough guy, So I went for Raptor M60, and it stick to me kind of.
Now, you and I had a bit of a chat a few weeks ago, and I got to know that you're into gaming. Then, what got you into gaming in the first place?
I don't know. I was always the kid who was, just doing stuff on the computer. I was just
Yep.
trying to figure out how did things work. And I think it was my uncle who introduced me to my first own PC, and I started playing like all the old school games like Tetris, this kind of stuff. Then one of the first actually like the graphically good games that I played was actually the first Tomb Raider,
Mm-hmm.
the very first game in the series, and I got hooked to that. So I was playing that a lot. Over time, I started playing Viet Cong, the multiplayer game, and then my love for gaming just and gaming community especially started to be really huge because I started my own fan site, not my own. I with a friend we started a fan site about the game about Viet Cong. Then I moved to some other games, created fan sites for those as well, and I became spending more and more time in the gaming communities. And yeah, that eventually turned into love of DayZ and the DayZ community.
Yep. So, what is your favorite game of all time so far?
Tough question. I would have to say it is the Viet Cong game
Yep.
because for people who don't know, it's a first-person shooter from Vietnam War. It's very close to the DayZ experience. It's like very authentic, very realistic. The gunplay is you really feel like a soldier in
Yep.
that era, and has wonderful like storytelling, mechanics in the game, and it's just so wonderfully immersive. So that's probably it's hard to pick one game, but this is really like on top of it, and right under it would probably be DayZ.
Yep.
And that's not just because I work on DayZ, but yeah, there is a whole little story behind how I got to DayZ. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll get to that very shortly.
yeah.
Okay. You mentioned your uncle introduced you to your first PC. Do you remember much about it?
Mhm. So I know it was a DOS machine basically. So it all started with a command line that was just the cursor was blinking at me on the screen. So it was not like any particular machine I really
Mm-hmm.
in here in Czech Republic, we didn't have all the uh, all these typical old systems. So I'm not really sure what it even was. It was some
Yep.
random PC. I don't know.
What about consoles? Did you ever own a console?
Yeah. So I again in Czech Republic, not you didn't you like we didn't really had the consoles until like very recently, talking 10, 20, 10 to 15 years. And my first personal console was an Xbox 360, and that's
Yep.
how I got into console gaming.
Awesome. Okay, you were talking about DayZ. Let's find out a
Mhm.
little bit more about your DayZ pedigree, sir. Did you
Yeah.
play the mod?
No, I did not play the mod, unfortunately. At least not when it was popular. I did give it a try when DayZ Standalone was out.
Yep.
But yeah, I do not unfortunately have the DayZ mod memories. And as soon as you play Standalone, DayZ mod is kind of not that interesting anymore.
I hear that from a lot of people. A lot of people say that, and there's a lot of people out there who haven't played the mod who watched a lot of videos and that of the mod, but they the hype train when Standalone was released, and they just went straight to Standalone.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that if you get over the fact that all the Arma 2 gameplay style feels like super really clunky these days, I think you can still get all the cool gameplay that the original DayZ mod offers even today. But yeah, as soon as you played other games and you have the same experiences, and you know that you can get them in the DayZ standalone game, which is sort of more accessible, I would say, in this regard. Yeah, the DayZ mod is not that interesting anymore for a person who did not play it before, I
Yep.
would say.
So what is it about DayZ that you mentioned that was your second favorite game? What is it about
Yeah.
DayZ that makes you love it so much?
Uh, it's just the unexpected, the totally unexpected things that can happen to you. I prefer to most of the time play solo, so I am the lone survivor type, but I also do not intentionally avoid like talking
Interactions.
to,
Yep.
yeah, interactions with other players in the game. uh so it's this unpredictable kind of emergent kind of gameplay that you can get in DayZ. You just randomly meet somebody, they don't shoot you, and you talk to them, and maybe you realize, oh my god, dude, you're really cool, you can be my best friend, let's spend some time together in the game, and let's run up north, find a barrel, fill it with, I don't know, whatever we find, just make a little base, and just spending the time with other people unexpectedly. That's
Yep.
absolutely wonderful. And the second and the biggest thing for me, playing DayZ as the lone survival is just such a relaxing experience. You can really like just focus on your life in the game, on the life of your character, and you just taking care of your basic survival needs, and fighting the gear, and hoarding your own stuff, hunting for animals. That this is just like the very relaxing part of DayZ gameplay that has me really intrigued into the game,
It,
because
it
sometimes
lulls
I
me
just
into
need
a
to.
false sense of security. I'm moseying along, picking up loot,
Yeah. So
chatting away when I'm
yeah.
streaming, and the next thing I turn around a corner and there's a
Mm.
couple of people there, or a zombie just pops up out of nowhere and scares the crap out of me.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's a game that elicits such strong emotion.
So so it is relaxing, but at the same time, it is the kind of, you have these unexpected moments that
Yeah,
you have to be aware all the time of the
yep,
situation that you're in, and so it is relaxing, and at the same time it's kind of like adrenaline pumping, and
yes,
this sort of combination, it's really like a wonderful experience.
it
That's
is.
why I play DayZ.
If you could add anything to the game, what would it be and why?
If I could add anything, uh so lately I've been I should mention this to Peter. He wants to do that as well, but I would probably want to add some musical instruments, either for trolling the zombies or players. Just some pre-programmed tune that the,
Yep,
the the musical instrument always does. Uh, I don't know. Weird example. I would love to have a trombone in the game, Because the other day I've seen a video of a man, serenading with his trombone to his herd of cows, as soon as he started playing the trombone, the cows started coming from the horizon, basically towards the guy who was serenading them with his trombone,
Yep.
and it was so hilarious. And I immediately envisioned how I would be trolling either other players, or I would just be, serenading to the whole Chernobyl and like getting the attention of all the zombies in the town,
Yep.
and just all these like random things that I would love to do in the game. So yeah, I think something that to just further troll people with weird sounds in the game would be something that I would add. This is not a big feature on anything like this, because I think DayZ is already quite a complex game, and I don't think it needs
Yeah.
that much more to be entertaining. So it's more in like smaller things like this, I would say.
I reckon Barely Infected would probably like a guitar in the game.
Yeah, so yeah, a guitar or like a flute or anything like
Yep.
for these, mm, sitting at the campfire kind
Yeah,
of
exactly. That's exactly what I was
settings.
envisaging when you
Yeah,
said it.
yeah. So yeah, we can dream.
Big question now. This is going to upset some people and make one person very happy. If you're man enough to admit who it is, who is your favorite DayZ content creator at the moment?
I will give you a truthful answer, and that is I really do not have one specific favorite content creator. I can give I can give you a name of a person that I really respect, not only for being a content creator but also for being very professional, and that is Minder, because we have this little bit of a deal where we work with him on some
Yep.
gameplay capture. So I respect him a lot for also not just being a very good content creator, but also being a very professional person, like having a very professional attitude towards work in general. But that said, among all the amazing content creators in DayZ community, uh, I really do not have anyone that I watch more often than anybody else, because to be honest, I kind of take it as work, this particular aspect,
Yep.
watching content creators play DayZ. I do not watch it for my like personal uh, you know personal entertainment, so to speak. So that's why I don't really have anyone who would be like a favorite content creator for me. So that would be my honest answer.
Another big question for you. Status reports. What do you think of them?
Right. uh, Again, very honest answer. Our status reports are the best that we can do, given our conditions, but I think there is nobody inside the DayZ dev team who would be like super happy about the status reports that we put out. And the reason why it's like that is a combination of multiple factors. Sometimes it's really hard to collect all the relevant information for a status report.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we really get it very last minute. So sometimes it shows that the status reports are sometimes put together in a rather like a very very fast fast fashion, so to
Yep.
speak. So yeah, I would definitely say that I see a lot of areas for the improvement, uh, at least in theory. In practice, we are always doing our best to deliver the status reports in the best form that they can be. So
Yep.
it's a bit of a tricky situation. While we're not entirely happy with how they are, we also know that it's not exactly easy to make them like much better all of a sudden. This is a process that we need to go like by baby steps and
Yeah.
apply like small improvements to the entire status report pipeline generally. But it's something we are definitely still discussing, still talking about inside of the team, because
Well, I think they've
we
come
know
a
that.
long way back from what they originally were. They're a lot more community friendly now, in my opinion. So I think you've done a great
Okay.
job.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, uh, it's a constant struggle to make everybody happy. To have the developers have some sort of a structured way how we do the status
Yeah.
report, and to not to put too much pressure on them writing their contributions to the status report, and obviously making the community happy at the same time.
What is your biggest gripe with DayZ at the moment?
So do you mean it like
I
there's
mean the
too
game
much?
itself.
Yeah, the game itself. Mm, so if I take a look at the 0.62 version unstable, then my biggest gripe of playing that game is just that I'm no more able to, get over the fact. mm, no longer able to enjoy the game because of the controls and
Yeah.
generally of the player character movements. That's my biggest gripe with the old version of DayZ, with the legacy version of DayZ. And my biggest gripe with the new version that we test on a stress tests is that I just don't have time to play it. And that's kind of like a lame answer, I guess.
No.
But I just ever since we started stress tests, I just don't have time to play that version of the game.
I hear that from so many people, mate, that they almost dread going back to 0.62 when the stress tests aren't live. They're so in love, even though it's got a lot of game breaking bugs at the moment in it where it crashes
Yeah.
and so on. They just love the controller so much more in 0.63 that going back to 0.62, it's a chore for some of them.
Yeah. And so yeah, the with the new version that we are running on stress tests, I was able to play Orin during one of the very first stress tests,
Yep.
but then most of the time I was either like directly taking part of like all the stress test preparations, or I was just doing different stuff. And the one weekend that we were running the over weekend stress test, I couldn't play DayZ because I was gone the entire weekend. So I just enjoyed it only for like 4 hours in one evening, but that's about it. And I would want so much more with the game because yeah, it's so much different.
I'm the same. I've only had one chance to play it myself. The weekend stress test, I was actually away at an
Yeah.
army reunion, so I couldn't even get online for that. So,
Oh yeah.
in some sense, I'm kind of lucky, I suppose, in that I haven't been too exposed to 0.63, that I still enjoy playing 0.62.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely take that as an advantage because as soon as you step your foot into 0.63, you're not coming back.
What are you looking forward to the most in DayZ? And don't just say 0.63 slash beta,
Mhm.
but what specific area of the game are you most excited about?
Mhm. That would definitely be when uh, all the survival elements in the game are really properly balanced,
Hmm.
and everything just really working together a- as a game. Because what we're still very much doing is figuring out new features to add, or you know uh, basically adding more content like weapons and melee weapons and other stuff, re-adding it back to the uh, 0.63 version from the legacy builds. But the moment I'm looking most forward to is when all of these really start working together, because that will really bring the full DayZ experience to players.
Yeah.
And that will be the moment where people will just really be able to say, okay, this is not a game in development, this is a game, and I can play it and I can enjoy it.
What are you most looking forward to in regards to modding once it's opened up?
Oh, well, first of all, Namask, obviously. playing pl-
Yeah.
Playing on a different setting than is generous. And don't get me wrong, generous is wonderful, and I think everybody loves the part of why everybody who loves DayZ loves the game is the actual environment of generous. But playing on something different and exploring something different, because it will be the first time for me actually at all
Yeah.
playing on the mouse. That would be big. That will be just simply just great. So that, and then all the random little mods, like people doing their own versions of base building and you
Mm-hmm.
know and these kinds of things. Even adding maybe like their own model game, things like these, that would just be like really wonderful. I am a huge fan of modding in general. I play a lot of City Skylines,
Yep.
and that game has a massive amount of mods. And basically, the version of the game that I play of City Skylines is basically nothing to be compared to the vanilla version of the game. I'm mostly just playing with the modded assets and even modded systems for traffic and all the kind of stuff. And so as soon as people start playing with DayZ in this way, like modifying not only the content but also like the gameplay mechanics,
Yep.
and just bending and then twisting in all sorts of different ways, it's going to be really exciting because you will just have so many different DayZ experiences, not just the vanilla one, but so many different DayZ style gameplay modes that you can enjoy. And this just, you can already sunk hundreds and hundreds of hours into DayZ and enjoy it, and this will make it even more apparent that this game really can entertain you for a very long time.
Last question about DayZ. It's an opinion one. How many people do you reckon there should be per server?
I would love to see 100.
Yep.
That, I think that would be great because I love the fact that I am I can run into people quite often and quite unexpectedly. But when you have a server when it's not even full, it's like 35, 40 people. Sometimes it can take quite a long time before you run into players if you don't run into the hotspot locations.
Yep.
So for that reason, I would love to actually see more players in the game. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask a few questions about the parent company, about Bohemia Interactive. Um,
Right.
just so people can get a bit more of an understanding, because you hear a lot of people comment about, they
Yeah.
mistakenly call it a AAA title by
Right. Yeah.
a big gaming company. They don't realise quite so much that Bohemia is not actually that big. So, for starters, how big is the Bohemia marketing slash publishing department?
Yeah. So specifically, our publishing department in the company is, it's really under 15 people altogether for all the games combined, and that's not just marketing people.
Yep.
We have our own online store, so there is one person who manages the online store, and then we have just one person in the company who's taking care of all the like sales related things, basically how our games are sold when they go into discounts and things like this. It's quite a lot of work actually. So we
Mm-hmm.
have one person for this, and then we just have the community and marketing teams for the games themselves. Right now we have three big games basically: Arma, Islands, and DayZ. And so for each of these games, we really have two people usually working in the marketing teams, a brand manager and a community manager. And then we have one publishing director, and that's it. We don't have like an army of graphic
Yep.
designers or video editors or anything like this that you would usually find in a like big publishing company such as EA or Ubisoft.
Yep.
So in that regard, we are really like a very, very small operation.
So basically, for DayZ, it's 2 point whatever Minder is.
So we have, for DayZ, we've kind of recently, started thinking of how to expand the team. And so I think people even notice on the forums that we
Mm-hmm.
have right now hired another community manager.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna introduce him very soon, as soon as he is kind of feels confident in his job. And we also have one additional part-time community manager for the game. So on DayZ, we've grown the team a little bit more for the things to come, because
Mm-hmm.
there will be a lot of stuff related not only to PC releases but also console releases. But still, when you think about it, uh, you know, we don't have anybody to just manage, for example, our advertising campaigns, or
Yeah.
to just, prepare the or just taking care of the website content. Usually in like these bigger marketing teams, you have like dedicated people that do those things,
Hmm.
and that's not really something that we do at Bohemia.
Okay. How does the company support the DayZ team in general?
Yeah, so the support from the company is mostly can have like two different ways. The one is like assigning additional like developers and people to the project,
Yep.
and that doesn't just mean like hiring new people for the team, but sometimes like working with specialists within the company. So obviously that's one way of supporting DayZ development team.
So I guess an example of that would be when you guys teamed up with the Armour guys for the Eden sound engine.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yep.
exactly. That example, or if we need something like very specific done for our animation team,
Mm-hmm.
in the mocap team, for example, then we have a really awesome guy in the mocap studio,
Yep.
Stepan, who's basically built the entire mocap studio back in the day. So he's really able to help with that. And then obviously one of the most important things, how Bohemia as a company basically supports DayZ team, uh, is having the engine team, the Enfusion engine team, actually sometimes stepping in and helping with implementation of specific DayZ related things, because we are building Enfusion as the overall engine for all of our future games. So that
Mm-hmm.
means it's at this point it's kind of separated from the main DayZ development itself. But in this way, we sometimes can have the resources of the engine programmers available to us
Yep.
to help with certain things on DayZ.
Now, Bohemia Interactive is a private company, so at the end of the day, their goal is to make money. Because of that,
Mhm.
is there much pressure or any pressure at all from them to hurry the fuck up with the releases? Are they on your back saying, "What are you doing? Come on, hurry up!" Or what's this? What's the go there?
Right. So, what's been absolutely great on the fact that DayZ is being developed at Bohemia Interactive is that the company, and by saying the company, we don't really have any like a huge board management group that just makes all the decisions in the company. It's nothing like that. We literally have our CEO, Marek Spaniel, and then we have our CEO, Mr. CFO, Mr. Pavlicek, the financial director of the company, and then we have a development director in the company who's taking care of all the development related issues in the company, and that's ultimately just three people who represent what you would call the company. There is not like any huge management group, like I say. So in that regard, it's been like obviously it the company has been like very supportive on keeping the you know leaving the DayZ development team the time to make the game right in the way we want. But obviously, as you just said, Bohemia is a business, and right now we are the entire company is something of 350 plus people across multiple studios,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to make sure that all these people get their paycheck at the end of the month.
Exactly. Yes.
So there's definitely some sort of pressure, let's say, on the development team to as you say, hurry the fuck up with the releases. So it's not like we can be in an state of development where we just tinker with things endlessly, because you know as any game designer would tell you, there is always more features that he or she wants to add into the game. So there definitely is some pressure, and I think that kind of pressure is of course needed to make game development like progress further. But at the same time, Bohemia has been amazingly patient and giving space to the development team to make the game the way they want and need it to make.
So how many other projects does the company have besides DayZ?
Oh, so Bohemia is a company that kind of has this philosophy of not being like a manufacturing game development factory, of sorts. We don't want to have themes. We don't have to have teams that work on just one game and have like 250 people just working on one project.
Yep.
So Bohemia is rather, trying to spread the portfolio of games a little bit more wider, I would say. And so besides the 3 live projects that we have out right now, there is at least 3 or 4 different R&D and game development projects that are going on behind the scenes in various teams, because we have, as I said, we have multiple development teams across various locations.
Yep.
One of them even actually in Netherlands, one of them in Thailand. So we're kind of becoming a international company of sorts.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to switch tack a little bit now, and I want to talk a bit about the marketing and your current role. Yep. So we'll start with a bit of background on it first. Why did you decide to do a marketing degree?
So there is a little story that everybody in my family has always been telling me. And then when I was a little like baby infant, basically, whenever there was a commercial on TV, I actually started paying attention more to the commercials than on the actual program that was running on TV. So whenever there was a commercial, I started like reacting or crying or doing things that babies do, I guess. And so as soon as I started, as I explained my background with playing the Viet Cong game and running fan sites of games, this kind of had me going onto the okay, I maybe want to be a journalist because I enjoy I enjoy writing and I enjoy like collecting information and then putting them out there for other people to read. And then I kind of realized that this is more towards like a sort of like marketing work, really. I'm just collecting information, like preparing them for people in a really nice way for them to read. So that's when I kind of started about the career in communications or PR. So I started actually studying a university and for a marketing degree. And yeah, that's how it sort of happened. It's really started of me being writing like articles and all different types of content for gaming fan sites.
So what were you doing before you started working for Bohemia Interactive?
I literally finished my bachelor's degree, and the first full-time job I got was a junior brand manager. So Bohemia is literally like my first full-time job. But before then, during my college studies, I was actually doing some freelance work as a copywriter on working with clients on creating content for their websites and their like professional presentations. That was the sort of thing that I was doing before that.
So what made you apply for this job?
Well, it was a very nice combination of me like literally finishing my university studies, and I randomly just saw the post on the Bohemia LinkedIn page because I played Arma and obviously DayZ, so I was following the company. Never really thought I would like work for the company. I wanted to kind of be involved with DayZ and then community management of DayZ maybe, but it was just the dream that I thought would never be realized. Think about it, to be honest, seriously. But then I saw the job opening. I applied. I sent a nice little introduction video to the company, and yeah, it actually happened. So I was really happy.
Awesome. You definitely picked a good game to wet your teeth with, because in general the game does have a bad rap. Back when we first started talking about the interview, I looked at the Steam store reviews, which were recent reviews mostly negative, 984. All reviews
Yeah.
were mixed,
Yeah.
155,332. Now, I did go back and check it again just yesterday, and
Hmm.
there's been a bit of a change. It's
Yeah.
now changed to recent reviews mixed, 773 with 42% positive, and all
Yeah.
reviews mixed, 156,727, 62% positive. So
Yeah.
it's been a jump in the recent reviews. It's gone from mostly negative to mixed.
Yeah.
How can we turn this around? As it's not a good look for new players considering buying the game to see this when they are
Right.
looking at the store.
So ultimately, we can, talk to the community the way we do, just like being open and honest and just presenting things as
Yep.
they are. But unless we we really have the solid product that we can back our communication with, until we really have that game that has this feeling of being finished or
Hmm.
being polished, until that time, uh, it's really hard convincing people who do not actively play DayZ or who do not actively participate in the DayZ community
Yep.
that they should have a different opinion of the game, because we are living in an age where putting out opinions on the internet is the easiest thing you can do.
Oh
Um,
yes.
after 10 minutes of playing any game, you can completely diss it in Steam reviews and just write anything you wish, really, on the Steam review. Not not really caring about the fact that it's an early access game, it's in development or whatever. And yeah, that unfortunately doesn't really help the situation when you don't yet have the really very solid product that you can promote in a like more traditional way. So we can do our best, like communicating with the people and being open about communicating what's happening within the development.
Yep.
But unless a large amount of people is able to uh, get their hands on a game that is really working as it's intended, and it's really polished and enjoyable and just generally a good game, uh you know there is not there's nothing we can really do to completely turn the opinions around.
Another area you guys have been punished on massively is on social media, especially Twitter. And we
Yeah.
discussed this a few weeks back as well, with the belief that
Right.
there's a common belief, especially if you believe certain people on Twitter,
Hmm.
that lots of people have been banned by the official DayZ dev team account for just being negative about
Right.
DayZ. For its many faults that it's had over the time, such as
Right.
zombies glitching through wall, desync issues, poor frame
Yeah.
rate, stairs killing players, etc. What is the situation here? Are you guys really blocking people? And if so, why?
So considering the official DayZ dev team account,
Yeah.
uh if in the entire history of that account we have really banned uh 6 to 10 people in total, I mean not people, like accounts,
Yep.
uh that would be that would be the max that we have really done in terms of like really
Yep.
blocking accounts. That means preventing that account from accessing our tweets and reading our tweets. uh, these accounts have mostly been related to generally abusive communities that were uh, you know breaking basically our end user license agreement of the game,
Yep.
mostly by inappropriately modding the game and running modded servers. Uh, I'm pretty sure we all know which community
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yep.
And then it's been really some extremely abusive people who we just couldn't stop in any other way, in continuing their abuse.
Yep.
But yeah, but mostly the accounts that we blocked were related uh, to the communities that were just not following the very simple rules that we set up for how to work with the game.
So in short, about 6 to 10 accounts are actually what's being blocked. What I think a
Yeah,
lot of
that
people
would be correct.
what I think a lot of people are getting confused at is personal accounts of members of the team who have blocked other people as
Yes,
well.
and that's a very big difference, because yes, sure, sometimes like accounts of Eugene, Peter, or Brian are kind of taking as official DayZ communication channels, but there is a difference. You have to understand that even though our developers often communicate things related to DayZ development on their accounts, or they like to tweet about their work, because it's taking a huge amount, their work is a huge part of their lives, obviously. So they
Yep.
tweet about it, and they also uh, interact with other people in the community because they're friends with them. So they communicate on their personal accounts about DayZ, but you have to understand that when these guys decide that they just don't want to deal with all the abuse that is going their way, it is their personal accounts, and they ultimately do have, obviously, the right to to manage the communication on their own personal accounts. We can do our best with with Batty and the other marketing people at Bohemia to explain to them how to deal with these people and how to treat the abuse they get on social media. And sometimes it's just like really like outright death threats, and then crazy things like this that happen over the social media channels.
Hmm.
We can explain to them how to best work around situations like this and how to deal with them when they happen. But it's sometimes it's really hard to not be scared or not take it too personally on these accounts.
Yep.
So sometimes the easiest thing that you can just do to stop it is to mute that channel from your life,
Yep.
and to block those abusive people, because you just want to live your life, you want to work on DayZ, and you don't really want to be dealing with people who are sending you death threats or various other abusive things on the internet. So,
Yep.
well, I would never recommend anybody, even on personal accounts, to start like massively banning
Yeah.
Twitter accounts. Still, if it influences your life, and if it's getting to you in some way, then obviously like your personal uh, personal health and your personal sanity, it's much more important than just muting or blocking a
Yep.
couple of abusive dudes on Twitter.
In the DayZ year in review video 2017, 2018 is, as you mentioned earlier, being called by the
Yeah.
team the year of DayZ. So what can we expect marketing wise this year? Increased presences at events such as PAX, EGX, Gamescoms, etc. More
Mhm.
trailers. Anything you can, any sneak peeks you've got for us of what's going to be happening this year?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hype amongst the community who stayed loyal. We're really
Right.
excited to see what's coming, as you'll see with some of the viewer questions later.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna do our to turn up to as many of these gaming events as we can. The closest one that I can already mention, I think, is Gamescom in Germany. We're gonna
Yep.
be there again. We're gonna talk to our fans. We're gonna be there in person, and we would love to meet everybody just coming. As you mentioned, PAX events, definitely something that we want to do. We've been to PAX East thanks to our partnership with Microsoft, and we will do our best to go to as many of these events as we can, and meet the people, meet the community, bring some cool merch, and just go out for drinks even with people and things like that. That's definitely something we want to do in terms of events, and having the game playable there, and even maybe do some cool promotions with other companies and things like that. So there's definitely one part of the mix. I don't want to spoil too much, but whenever a game gets released or has a big release, it usually launches with some sort of a trailer or thing like that. So I think
Yep.
this can definitely be expected, at least for the launch out of early access, and probably DayZ fully launching on consoles and this kinds of stuff.
I know myself and a number of other Aussies are fingers crossed Praying you guys can make it to PAX Australia this year.
Yeah. So yeah. So we didn't go to E3. We wanted to go there, and so that means every one of these trips has a budget attached to it, and it's quite a lot of money when you really think about having like your own booth and this kind of stuff. So we have to be like picky sometimes at choosing the events that we want to. Then that we didn't go to E3, so this gives a pretty big chance that we may be able to go maybe. So I would also love to meet you all guys in person, so that would be wonderful.
Awesome.
But yeah, back to the topic of trailers. Actually, in Bohemia, we have in addition to having like a marketing team, what we do have is a video team inside Bohemia, and right now we are actually figuring out how to best make really great gameplay videos and trailers from DayZ, and how to provide some interesting video content. So hopefully we will see the fruits of that, in the coming months towards the big releases.
I reckon you should throw it out to some of the community as well. Make your best DayZ trailer for us.
Yeah, so actually, like ever since we started doing the stress tests, and people either playing with the official offline mode or with some of the community available options, they have actually, I've seen people started doing actually like very amazing community edited trailers for the game. And as it was, I think demonstrated in the example with Minder, we definitely love to work directly with like enthusiastic people in our community and actually involve them on a contract basis in some of the work that we do. So as long as you feel like you have a talent that we can or we should use, don't be too worried, and just drop us a message, and sometimes it can turn into an actual work that is fully paid and then appreciated by the DayZ community, obviously.
Awesome. Okay, we talked about them a bit before. Status reports, they've been heavily criticised in the past for a lack of content, but recently, as I mentioned, they seem to be changing to a more fan-friendly format. What's been the motivation behind this? Have you taken the feedback from the masses and applied it? Yeah, they're much more informative now, I find, both from the technical as well as my favourite part, which is Batty's Community Spotlight. I love going in there and finding new creators that I'm not aware of and so on.
Yeah, it is seeing how much content was created in the community for the past 2 weeks that the last status report came out.
Yep.
Sometimes and most of the time it's like even there's too much community made content that sometimes Bathy just has to like keep some of it for the next status reports, and it just keep the pile of interesting content just keeps growing and growing. That's crazy. But no, yes, we I think people have this misconception that we are living in some sort of a, I don't know, bubble where we just don't go out on the internet and don't read, the Reddit posts or the tweets and everything else that is being sent our way. I want to assure everybody that not just me or Batsy, but most of the actual development team, at least the leads like Peter, Victor, and the guys from status reports, we all go to Reddit, we all go to forums, we all read the tweets that are being sent our way, and we are going through all of that various feedback, tweet by tweet, forum post by forum post, Reddit post by Reddit post. So we definitely do not read 100% of things that are being said about DayZ on all of these channels, but a large part of it just gets to us, and we discuss it inside of the team, and we are trying to find ways how to improve things.
Now, you talked a little bit about it before as well, about how rushed they can be at times. Give us a sense of what goes on behind the scenes with the status reports.
Right. So one of the things where we are gathering the information for the status report in like the first like preliminary phase of us just figuring out what's going to be in the next status report is daily Scrum meetings in the morning, every morning, 10 a.m. All the team leads from the DayZ dev team meet on a Skype call between our two studios, Bratislava and Prague, and we are discussing what things have been done this week, or on this particular day, and what other tasks ahead of us for the upcoming day or for the rest of the week. So this is the first place where we are trying to collect relevant information for a status report. Then we have regular meetings with Eugene and David, our project leads, where me, Bati, and Eugene and David sit down every Thursday, and we just discuss all the stuff that we would be able to actually talk about in a status report. And then usually on that day or Friday before the status report, we just send a message to all the team leads. Hey, status report is coming. Just reminding you, if you have any contributions, just any relevant information, send it to us. Write like a summary of the things that you want to say, and we're gonna put it into a status report. Unfortunately, as everybody in the team obviously is very, very busy with actual development work, it often happens that this part when they sit down and write, the things that they are working on or that could be interesting to the players, happens very late in the process. So say like Monday before the status report, or very often even like on the Tuesday that we publish these status reports. And that's unfortunately how things are with the actual game development is the biggest priority for these team leads, their actual game development related tasks. And it is, we need to do our best to get the information out of them uh, ahead of time, ideally, or in time, basically, for the status reports. And this can be a struggle sometimes. Sometimes you really have to be really patient and get through a lot of saying like, yeah, I'm working on it, this kind of stuff. You have to really be not persuasive, what's the word, persistent.
Yes.
Trying to get the content. But when that happens, and we finally find that 1 hour of Peter's time, Eugene's time, Victor's time to get through the content, that's when we finally get some of the interesting content for the status report. And then we have like very limited time, obviously, to format it nicely and to support it with some nicely recorded videos. So that's why we don't see that many like visual materials in the status reports. Because sometimes when we get the the development information, we would have to do our best to actually capture the video from the game. And when you let the developers do it, sometimes they don't run the game on the highest details, so they just send you this like potato-y looking video that you cannot really publish online, because it would just look a little bit lame. So then you have to even if you get that video asset, you just need to take some time to remake that video properly with like nice graphic settings, with some outro titles or anything like this. Obviously that takes time, and sometimes when that developer sends you that video, he or she made it from a version of the game that is locally only on their computer. So sometimes our video people are not even like fully able to capture the easily capture the things and from those versions of the game. So it can be a little bit like complicated at times. That said, as we are settling in with our internal branches of the game, we will do our best to try and provide these materials and as often as we can. That said, already many things about DayZ have already been written about status reports, have been shown on Trello or various like visual channels. So there's not that many surprises ahead of us that we've shot a lot of our ammunition already for the status reports for like new visually interesting things. So now it will be mostly about showing the polished version of the game, and showing how the design of the features work together in the game, and things like that.
Okay. Now, we talked earlier about things that can be done to help improve the game's reputation. Now, One area that I believe is going to be massive for DayZ is the long forgotten Survivor games. For those who don't know, Bohemia Interactive acquired the rights to Survivor games probably about 6 to 12 months ago, was it?
I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, but it sounds about right.
Yeah. I loved watching them and the prelims to them. I was a massive Survivor games junkie. It was like, holy shit, they're doing another Survivor games. You had the biggest and best names of YouTube and Twitch content creators all competing, and it was an amazing thing to watch. Where are we at with the Survivor games format? And we even had a viewer question, Lex, who asks, what role will Survivor games play in the future of the DayZ brand? It always attracts a huge audience on Twitch. Can we expect it back with the release of beta?
Right. So we're not exactly sure about the timing of, when we want to organize the next Survivor games and things like that.
Yep.
But ultimately, yes, we definitely will be getting back to the Survivor games formats, and not only to the format where we invite streamers for an event where they play and you can watch them, but hopefully also by making the Survivor games type of gameplay available to everybody who owns DayZ. So that would be that is kind of where we want to go with it. We'll see what happens. We will definitely start with just doing the Survivor games the way we've done in the past, just in a better designed form for 0.63. And
I swear, if you guys do that, if you release that format for communities to use out there, you will be mobbed with hugs and kisses whenever you go out in public. Having done some Survivor Games events in communities in the past, it's always kind of fun with the limited tools we had, but being able to use the God mode camera and stuff like that, that would just be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't want to press anything by this, because the entire team is just fully focused on delivering DayZ beta and then all the bigger releases for DayZ. And without them, Survivor games cannot really work as a good event or as a good game mode.
Yeah.
So, first things first, I would say. But we are definitely considering this. We are kind of counting on that option to start with the Survivor games events, and then somewhere along the way, making it available as a gameplay option for everybody.
Yep. Well, if you need a commentator, I'm available. I'm very cheap. Just pay me an exclusive DayZ merch.
Yeah, right. We can discuss that after the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Just a few little more personal questions. They're my rapid fire questions that I like to ask of everyone before we get into everybody's favorite part, the viewer questions. So
okay, I'm not sure if I'm ready, but
just say the first thing that pops into your mind.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Favorite long range weapon.
Mosin.
Least favorite long range weapon.
SWD. I have never found it in the game.
Wow. Favorite automatic weapon.
That would be MP5.
Least favorite automatic weapon.
Definitely PMR Rock. It's terrible.
KOS.
Sometimes.
First person or third person?
First person.
Favorite server?
DayZ Underground.
Favorite place on the map?
I don't know. The map has changed right now, but it used to be up north always. The little village is up north.
Public or private?
It depends on which mood I am. Mostly public, though.
Yep. Okie dokie. Now we move on to the rest of the viewer questions, and we had one from Lex before. He's actually got a few in here. Got another one from him now. Now, as he says, as far as he knows, will the Xbox and PlayStation 4 versions be released at the same time? He's not counting the Xbox game preview mode, though.
Yeah, for the full release, we are aiming to have a simultaneous release of both of the consoles, so they should hit not only like close to each other, but literally on the same day, ideally.
Okay. He also says, Will there be a physical copy available of the game for consoles, a collector's edition? And oh my god, if you do a
Right.
collector's edition, I'm buying 10 of
Yeah.
them.
So this is a question we get asked a lot, not only related to consoles. And the thing is, if we do a physical copy of the game, be it a regular version or some sort of a collector's version, let's say, it would definitely be only available throughout our Bohemia Interactive online store.
Yep.
Because as a company, we are just not able to deal with the entire like physical distribution of the game. That's just
Okay.
we don't have the publishing, power to do that.
How will the advertisement for consoles look like? Ads in print media or even TV commercials? Or do you hope the game will regain popularity by itself with the help of streamers and players?
Right. So I definitely do think that a good product is able to, with a little bit of help, good product is able to promote itself by just being a good product. And that's what we're counting with. The DayZ will be a good game when it leaves early access. That said, there will definitely be like advertising support added to that. We are probably not big enough to have TV commercials. These are not only really expensive, but again, the negotiations with the actual companies can get a little bit tricky. So, not sure about TV commercials, most likely no, but definitely whenever DayZ releases, you will be seeing it pretty much everywhere, at least online.
Okay. And he hereby requests a zombie version of you in the game.
Okay, so this was suggested to me earlier, actually, but there is one thing that I cannot really get over, and that is the fact that for being scanned into the game as a zombie, you need to be shaved. Not fully, I think, but you need to shave a lot of your facial hair
Yep.
that you have, and I have quite a big beard right now, and I don't want to get rid of that. So yeah.
You're just rubbing it in Eugen's face after he shaved his off, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that was an accident, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his beard will be back very soon.
Okay, the next question is from Joito. When
Oh,
will you
hi.
give me my teddy bear shirt?
Right. So as soon as we have them printed out, we've completely run out of them unpacked. So if Joe, if we promise the T-shirt to you, I apologize, and you will get it very soon.
Okay.
Next opportunity we have to meet, be it Gamescom, EGX, I don't know. You're definitely getting one, and if we promised one to you, we're just gonna send it over.
Okay, Scarecrow Cod. Now, we pretty much answered this one, but I'll still ask his question anyway. How do you
Right.
plan to continue marketing DayZ through beta? Can we expect to see any new trailers?
So again, I don't want to like tease or spoil anything, but at least for the full release, definitely we want to make some sort of video, and generally more video content, more kinds of general like promotional
Yep.
materials. Up until now, we've really been focused on development and communicating the development information. So yeah.
Okay. Legazos, I think that's how you pronounce it. Will we see new merchandising in the store once DayZ hits 1.0?
Right. So we have lots of crazy ideas for DayZ merch. And I think many people don't actually know it, but if you go to the Bohemia store at store.bohemia.net, you can already buy T-shirts and patches and some other like DayZ related merchandise. We will hopefully be able to also some additional stuff when we are in a better place with the game. So you know game done first, then we can think about like adding more merchandise into the mix.
I bought 3 of the shirts for myself, 2 black and 1 white. And I think I've
Yay,
given
thank
away
you.
3 other shirts as well. It's funny
Right.
that you mentioned that because with these viewer questions, I am going to be asking you what is your favorite question, because at the end, once they're all done, whoever had the best question or your favorite question is actually going to win a DayZ t-shirt that I'll buy for them and mail to them as well. So make sure you're paying attention to which question is your best.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Now, Fades Gaming, www.twitch.tv/Fades. Check him out. Is PR the only thing you and Batty do, or do you have other roles or jobs at Bohemia Interactive? I'm no game dev or PR person, so I don't know if it takes up the whole days for them, or if they have other tasks to do. I think it's a good question.
No, so both of us, we are fully dedicated to working actually on DayZ and on DayZ related things. So I think that's the most important part of the answer. What Batty is doing, except for the things that you see, that means communicating with you, the people in the DayZ community.
Yep.
She's also doing lots of work with actually our QA department on managing the feedback that we get through Feedback Tracker, and then through various channels, and then managing that feedback basically so that it gets to the right people in the team, and so that it actually gets the attention that this needs. So this is also part of her job that people don't see. And as for me, I am mostly about planning the things ahead, and it also includes things like working with localization and generally like with the rest of the our small publishing department within Bohemia on things like deciding in which regions we launch the game in the end, and preparing like store descriptions for the final releases, and generally just like planning these small things.
Yeah.
And this actually takes most of my work right now, because I have Batty and our other community guys fully focused on working with you, the community, whereas I'm working more with the company publishing and with the development team on planning the things ahead for the big releases.
Fair enough. Slowness 112. When the game hits 1.0, is there any plan to give alpha beta players a shirt that says "I survived alpha/beta" or anything like it? Now, I'm not sure whether he's talking about a physical one, because that would probably cost an arm and a leg. I'm thinking he means more as some sort of item you can wear in game that you can select from as part of the player inventory at the beginning.
So yes, we've definitely seen that idea mentioned. I believe it was a huge topic on Reddit at some point.
Yeah, it was.
Where people were just suggesting that, and we definitely listened to this, and we'll see what we can do. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes. It is definitely a good idea. It is an idea that resonated with a lot of people in the DayZ dev team actually, and so we'll see what happens.
It definitely resonated with the community as well. I saw a lot of support for it. I think the wording was, "I survived alpha, and all I got was this shirt." Something like that. It was quite funny. It was very tongue in cheek, which I liked.
Yeah. So just to be like 100% clear about this, is definitely not going to be the option with physical shirts being sent out to people, because sending out that T-shirt to people all across the world, basically, even if it's not every DayZ player, that would ultimately just cost the same amount of money for us as you purchase the game.
Yeah.
So it would basically just give you all the money back. Some people would definitely welcome that, I guess, on the internet, but that's not entirely realistic, unfortunately.
Okay. And Suvalab asks, where do you see DayZ in the next 5 years?
I see DayZ as being another game on Steam Workshop that has loads and loads of community created content for it. That's most important, I think. I in 5 years I still see DayZ as a game that is being played online actively in pretty decent numbers, because I think as soon as the community content starts pouring in, people will play DayZ for lots of different reasons than just the vanilla survival experience.
Yep.
And so ultimately, I see DayZ as being a nice, finished, and enjoyed and played game that has its reputation of getting back from the early access kind of bad image and being a successful game in the end.
Demon Groover, where can I get an official DayZ coffee mug? I want to know this too, because I would love one.
Yeah, so this is very much related to the question of the merge, and if we're gonna keep adding more. And coffee mugs are definitely a very favorite option, not only amongst gamers. So definitely something we will consider.
I think stubby coolers as well, or drink coolers.
Yeah. Like tumblers and things like that.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll see. Like I said, we have lots of creative ideas, and right now I don't want to encourage people to do that much because it's basically breach of our copyright. There are some people on the internet who are already doing these things. You can always just take our logo from our website, and there are definitely websites who will do that for you. But if you want to wait, please do wait. I'm pretty sure we will have mugs.
Okay, Wolfgeist, being brand manager for such a widely misunderstood game in terms of development must be extremely difficult at times. How do the endless comments filled with inaccurate information affect the team?
Let's just say one thing. It's definitely harder for the team than it is for me or Beatty. That doesn't mean that it also doesn't get to us on a personal level, meaning that there are some days when we go from the office and we just don't feel all that well because of all that we had to deal with. But at the same time, we see the end goal in front of us. We see the good game that we're heading towards, and already with the stress tests, we are seeing that where we're heading, it's probably a good place, and that people will be enjoying the game again when we properly release the good updates for the game. So while it is tough for us sometimes, and definitely tough for the development team, and oftentimes, we see the end goal, and we do our best to not let it stand in our way, and not to let it affect us too much. But definitely, there are days where we just really don't feel it, and it's much better to just go home, switch the communication channels for a while, and just recover a little bit.
Now, he also says December must have been a really rough time. As you realised you wouldn't hit the end of the year goal, was this the most difficult time for the team, or is there one that was even more difficult?
That's really a question for specific people, because I think everybody sees it a little bit differently. But for me, being on the DayZ team for I think a year and a half, because I was working on different things at Bohemia before. December last year was definitely a very tough time.
Yeah.
Because for a very long time we just didn't really even know how to approach this thing, like how to communicate it properly. That we will not deliver on what we hoped we would, and this is always hard. And whenever we realize that some things will not be done within the time that we wanted to, it's always a very hard situation to be in. But yeah, December last year was really hard, and also the couple of weeks or maybe a month before the stress tests, those were also pretty rough, because we were trying to have the version that is ready to be tested for as quickly as possible, but sometimes game development gets to you, and the realities of game development get to you, and you just have to wait 2 more days, 3 more days, 1 extra week. And yeah, it's really hard sometimes to you think you are ready to to release the beast, basically, to let people have a go at it. You are almost prepared to push the button, and then you realize there's something in the game that just makes it completely unplayable, and you can't just push it out.
Yeah.
and that's really tough because it just brings the morale a little bit down, I would say. And especially in the case of 0.63, the team was really not sure how the game would be accepted, to how the user actions work and all these sorts of different things. So that was also one of the more like stressful periods in the DayZ team, right before the stress tests.
Yep. Okay. He also says, have you guys ever thought about putting out a point-by-point response to all of the most prevalent myths regarding DayZ? Because there's so many out there. Although something like that might not be needed the closer we get to beta. But he thinks it would be a great way to address what seems to be, and I quote him here, this isn't just me being foul-mouthed, the endless sea of bullshit.
I mean, it's been said very exactly. There's so many things that this would need to cover that would again make for, if the only way how to like really address those issues is to put them into a video, because people just don't want to read walls of texts. It's also one of the issues with status reports, but sometimes it has to be done this way. So people just don't want to read 52 answers to 52 questions or 52 misconceptions about DayZ.
You need to get in contact with Septic Falcon. I reckon he would be able to sit down with you and do a great video doing that.
So that would have to take a form of a video, and even then there's so much that would need to be like really explained.
Oh yeah.
That I just don't know how to really approach that. That said, we have some ideas for maybe not 0.63 experimental release, but for the stable, for whenever 0.63 reaches stable branch, and to make like a little bit of a summary of what is different between the legacy versions of DayZ, the 0.62 and below, and what is really like new in 0.63. Not in terms of features, but mostly in terms of how the game improved in quality. Like comparing the quality of the feature implementation compared in the legacy versions and the 0.63 version. And ideally, we have this I have this sort of like a setup of the video in mind, where it's not just a strictly informative video, but also involves a little bit of like fun elements. So we'll see if we will be able to pull this off in some like efficient way.
Okay.
But yes, I definitely do see a lot of unaddressed questions that people just have about DayZ, who don't really follow the development that closely.
Oh yeah. Looking back, if you could do or know one thing that would have made things easier, what would it be?
Easier for me, or how would I approach this
probably
question?
The way I read that is easier for you, because you've got what is arguably one of the hardest jobs. You're responsible for the branding, the marketing of the game. So every impact or decision done by others, you're the one who ultimately has to,
right.
If it's a shit sandwich, you're the one who's got to say to everyone, it's not shit, it's not shit, that's chocolate. Just think chocolate. Yeah. Bite into that lovely chocolate sandwich. It's a shit sandwich, but you're still selling it to everyone and trying to make them believe it's a chocolate sandwich.
Yeah. So that's one very common misconception about marketing people as well. We cannot sell a shit product to people in a good way. That's just impossible. As long as you don't have a good product, you can bullshit people all the way you want. They will realize at some point.
Yeah.
But back to the question: what could make things easier for me, or generally like for making sure that DayZ has a proper like marketing is taken care of properly in terms of marketing? I think it is the same thing that everybody wishes, the developers and the players included. It's just, if we could somehow just have a very clear idea, like, okay, we will have this build of the game ready on this day. It will be working like magic. It will be awesome.
Yep.
Everything will be in it. Yeah, if we had the crystal ball where we could just, that would tell us, okay, everything will be ready on this day. Just do your best, prepare for this day. On this day, everything will be awesome. You will launch the game. If this could happen, that would be wonderful, but it's unfortunately not completely realistic at the same
Yep.
time. So it would help a lot, but it's also not realistic. So yeah, that's about it, I guess. Having a clear sense of when things will be done would be wonderful, and I think everybody would want to have that. But yeah, game development doesn't often work that way,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Okay, Frugal Bread comes in with a simple question of how big is the DayZ dev team approximately, and how long do you work a day?
So we have standard 8-hour working days, and Bohemia as a company is within the game dev industry is um, not known, but we keep it as a kind of a company culture that we do not do like crunch times or push people to do crazy hours like stay
Yep.
16 hours a day at work, because that's just not effective. We do not believe that that's effective, and it would just burn out people really fast. That doesn't mean that some people don't stay more than 8 hours a day. A lot of people do that quite regularly, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because they want to. It's because they want to finish this or that on their own terms. It's not that the company is
Yep.
forcing them to do that. So yes, 8-hour work days, 5 days a week. We do not work on weekends unless really, really, really critical, or unless somebody wants again, because you're not supposed to work on a weekend. I think we can all agree.
Yep.
We can all agree on that. And what was the sorry? What was the other part of the question? I
How
got
big is
carried
the
away.
how big is the DayZ dev team?
Right. So I think it would be about 60 people full
Yep.
time.
Okay.
Like the number would be fluctuating a
Yeah.
little bit, and depends on if you count, QA guys, or if you count the engine programmers that from time to time, join the team for
Mm-hmm.
to work on this or that feature. But yeah, about 60 people full time.
Okay. Now, I am with Mr. Too Bad for You on this one. I actually put a tweet out the other day asking if Danny Boy did something bad to Batty at Below to Town. His comment is Below to Airfield no more. What the fuck? And I'm the same. What are
Uh,
you guys doing at Below to? You're killing me.
so to be perfectly honest, this is not a question for me. It's just
No.
more of a question. More of a question to the dev team, because I personally, when I launched the stress test, the last stress test, well, basically whenever that happened, when Pelota got gone, I, I was surprised myself, to be honest. So, sometimes
Yeah.
don't know about all the things, and that would be definitely a question to Adam, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, and Adam did actually respond in the little Twitter comments that were happening there between myself and a couple of others, which was again a great
Right.
example of where you mentioned that yeah, the dev team do respond as much as they possibly can. They can't respond
Yes.
to everything,
Yes.
but they do respond to some stuff. So that was
Yeah.
good for me actually seeing him pop his head in there and clear up a few misconceptions I had on that. Now we've got a common recurring theme here. We've got both Ragnarok85 and Chainsaw Squirrel asking if
Uh-huh.
you will give them Batty's phone number.
Okay, so Buddy's phone number is 1234. No, just kidding. No, I mean, guys, if you wanna, if you want to talk to Buddy, or if you want to go on a date, just do it like any other normal people do, and ask her for the phone number.
Stalker on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Acid Freaker comes in with Martin, whiskey or vodka?
whiskey all the way.
Yeah. Bloody Z. Martin, do you think your budget is enough to get DayZ finished?
Yes. Short answer.
Yep.
The company has also like other games being released and other games being worked on. As I've
Yep.
said, 350 people monthly on a paycheck. quite a number of money going out each month. But yeah, I think we're still financially doing pretty decently as an indie company. We have no publisher backing us. We are all self-funded. We
Yep.
make all the money ourselves.
Okay, Cragman5 has a question here, which I've heard from other people as well. I would ask if the main intentions for the new engine is for DayZ or for coming games in the future.
Infusion engine is so it definitely started with DayZ in mind.
Yep.
Because DayZ was supposed to be the first game for the Infusion engine was made for. But definitely the ultimate goal and the goal when the engine development started is to make engine that is variable and modular enough to be used for any kinds of our future games in Bohemia.
Yep.
So that's the answer.
And that's a totally understandable answer to me because, like we said, Bohemia is a business and businesses like to make money. So if they can get more use out of a product that's being developed, it makes good business sense to do so.
Yeah, and then beyond just Infusion engine development, Bohemia is actually quite good at what we call research and development, like figuring out lots of different new techniques and approaches in game development, and also like exploring different game genres. So yeah, curiosity is one of the company values for Bohemia. So being curious is really important for us.
Mr. White 996 comes in with a question that it's a bit of a broad question, but I'm still going to ask it because I'll be interested in your take on it. Right. Why did they take so much time for DayZ?
You mean in terms of development time?
Yeah,
obviously. The single biggest reason is that very early on, after the development has really started for DayZ, and that's even after like the initial early access release of DayZ, the team has realized that in order to fulfill the vision for DayZ, to make it the game that the team wants it to be, we really needed to work a lot on the technology behind DayZ, the game. And so the decision has been made to develop the game alongside developing the engine, the technology that makes the game possible. And if you ask anybody in game development about this approach, they will tell you that this is one of the most nightmarish things that you can basically do in game development. And it has before terminated, or basically it has caused many companies in the past to either go out of business or be not very successful with their games, and that's because they either were not patient enough with the development, or they just hit some technological problems along the way. And so for this reason, for DayZ being developed alongside of the engine that was needed for DayZ, and trust me, if the decision was made for DayZ to have its own engine, then it definitely made sense for the dev team. And if they could use readily available gaming engine, and if it would be more advantageous for the development of DayZ, they would do it, but they didn't. So for that reason, for the development of the engine and the technology behind the game, this is ultimately the reason why we've been in early access for years with DayZ.
Yeah.
There is another part of the question that I want to add, and then sorry for being like very long with this answer, but it's really important. For a game of the size and complexity of DayZ, being 4 or 5 years in development is not something that is out of ordinary.
I don't think so either.
This is completely normal. And the big difference of DayZ is that the community, the players, have been involved in that process from its very, very beginning publicly. Normally, what you do is you develop your game, behind the closed doors for the 3, 4, 5 years, and then you release it. What we did was that as soon as there was something playable of the game that was at least in some way enjoyable, it got out to the players, and it got out to the players because we wanted to develop the game together with our player base. And so this is ultimately why it not only is that long that we developed DayZ, but most importantly, why it feels so long that DayZ has been in development for forever, basically.
Okay. Next question is from Septic Falcon, who wants to know, is Tizzy still planned to be a hazardous zone? Do you know that?
Again, that's more of a question that would need to be
Yeah.
asked towards somebody from the dev team. That said, I know the question is out there now, and I can find the answer.
Awesome. And he also wants to know, when can he have an Easter in his name?
I'm sorry, come again.
He wants to know, when can he have an Easter? I presume he means Easter egg in his name.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to really answer that.
Never. I'm guessing that you're being polite there. So, yeah. Okay, Bit Doctor. Martin, what steps are you making to help improve you and your team's development skills?
So speaking for myself, I obviously cannot speak for everybody on the dev team. As I said at the very beginning of our podcast tonight, uh, I try to educate myself at every opportunity possible. Be it just reading more about my field of work, or just reading more about games industry, or even like getting more into game development. So I do lots of I basically do this every day. Whenever I don't learn something new in each day, I kind of feel terrible. So it's either by reading books, watching videos, or talking to other people and listening to their advice.
Yeah.
So for myself, personally, I it is a sad day when I do not develop somewhere, because I'm 26. This is my first real full-time job, and it would be really sad if I was not trying to develop myself, because there's still lots of interesting things ahead of me, and I still have lots
Yeah.
and lots to learn.
Okay, Tuna Haha. I don't have a Reddit account, but please tell Martin and the whole team I have faith in them. I bought the game DayZ on day one and have enjoyed every patch, every challenge, and every fail. We are almost there. Experimental is near.
So was it what was the name again?
Tuna Haha. I
Yeah.
believe I think he sent that one to me on Twitter, off memory.
Okay. So Tuna Hahar, uh, you don't believe how nice it is to hear kind words like this, and thank you for the support and for the nice words.
I get it. I totally understand, mate. Yeah, it's when I put out a video or something like that, and someone just posts a nice comment saying, "I love your stuff, man. Please keep it up." Because you just sit there and you think you didn't have to say anything, but the fact that you did, you have no idea. They probably do. It's probably presumptuous for me to say that they don't have any idea, but it really makes you feel good on the inside.
Yeah, like I literally have, the thing in the butterflies in me even right now, because this is ultimately why we, wake up in the morning, and why we go to work, because of little acts of kindness on the internet like this.
Yeah.
Even if we don't meet the people in person, just hearing this and knowing that there is somebody out there who supports you, who trusts you, and who believes in what you do, is it's one of the most important things in life, really, beyond just being loved by your relatives and by your girlfriend's wives, and yeah, it's just so great, and I cannot thank everybody who does that enough.
Well, we've got another nice comment, which is from one of my good friends, Call Me Rive, another Twitch streamer. Please tell Martin that I really enjoyed 0.62. I guess I learned many PvP tricks in that patch.
Nice. Yes, I mean, it's been an update that's been up for a very long time, so definitely there was definitely a lot of opportunities to practice all the ins and outs of the update. So yeah, great to hear that.
And another nice message as well from Hytham C. If you could send a message to Batty and tell her I really appreciate the visit to the channel, and that there's some things we've discovered regarding the spatial looting specifically the ability to loot upstairs and downstairs whilst on the alternative floor. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but there's the message passed on, Hytham C.
I think there is some sort of a behind the scenes story that we
Yeah.
definitely are not supposed to know, but I will send the message over right when I finish the interview. I will do that.
Okay, Toprek wants to know, and this is something you said you're very excited for as well. When are we getting the Molsk?
So this is definitely a question that needs to be asked by Adam, but as soon as modding has official support in DayZ,
Yep.
that's when we will be able to see the mask, not before that.
Yeah. Ubar Bundy wants to know, when modding becomes available, will there be a standalone version of an editor similar to Arma's editor, where we can edit and create our own versions of Chernarus that we can use for our own servers?
Was that the question about map editor or the Eden editor that's in Arma?
The Eden editor, I believe, in Arma.
Right. So the at the moment, I believe we do not have any specific plans for the type of editor that Eden is, because to be honest, even for Arma, a huge amount of work went into the Eden editor.
Yep.
And DayZ is on an entirely different engine, so we cannot, unfortunately, it's not like the case with the audio system where we can just take parts and already use it in DayZ. Unfortunately, we cannot just take Eden editor and put it into DayZ. And that's also connected with the fact that in DayZ you don't really have the like the AI simulation for soldiers and all these different kind of things. So I think we will think of some way how to allow people to place like props and other items into the game and like structure the levels sort of in their own way, but probably not something like the full Eden editor.
Okay.
At least not in a near future. Speaking of the next year ahead of us.
Now, the very last question comes from the man you said you've got a lot of respect for, the one that only Mr. Minder. As a DayZ brand manager, what would you like the public perception of DayZ's brand to look like ideally?
I've seen that question before we actually started the interview, and it's really hard to answer it for me. But if there was one thing that I would really like to change about DayZ and its public perception, it's to convincing those people who think that the entire DayZ development was basically scam. That we have lots of people saying that, and if I can somehow, when the game, the product is in a good shape, and when we are ready to release and announce it with all the full marketing support, if I manage to change the public perception of that DayZ development was not scam and it was all legitimate, this would really make me feel very happy and feel like we achieved something. Because you may be surprised, but there is legitimately a very large group of people online who really do believe that we took the money and just ran away with it. And
I'm not surprised to hear that. I see the comments all the time, be it in forums, on Twitter, or in streams as well.
Yeah, and sometimes you feel like that's just people saying like random shit on the internet. But I've spoken to some people in private conversations, some people like that who think that DayZ is a scam and that we are just playing a like a huge show for everybody, and that we're not really developing the game. I have directly spoken to some of these people over Discord and Skype conversations, and I know that despite everything that I've told them, they still legitimately believe that we are scamming people, and that's just sad because this couldn't be further away from the truth. Bohemia as a company is one of the most honest, game dev companies with its communities that I, have the chance of knowing.
Yeah.
And we are the complete opposite of that, of what people are trying to say about us.
Well, I
We
take
are,
my hat off to you, sir,
yeah,
for even bothering to try to change their minds. It's something that I do as well. Like even when I'm streaming, if people come in and say DayZ shit, DayZ's a scam, I don't ban them straight away from the chat. I talk to them
yeah,
about it. And there are some
yeah,
people who you're just not going to be able to convince otherwise.
yes,
But they're entitled to their opinion. As wrong as it may be, they're entitled to their
yeah,
opinion, and you've got to try and engage with these people, in my opinion, and try to, you know, open up a discourse with them. Some of them are just very
yeah,
blind in their point of view, but hats off to you for doing it, because not a lot of people would. Most people would just ignore them or block them or whatever.
yeah. So yeah, that's what we try to do, but unfortunately, it's not like a very large group of players, but
Yeah.
it's good, and it's good, and it's big and loud enough to cause us trouble mostly in PR, and just generally like generating the image about DayZ and Bohemia as a company.
Look at how
So
many hate videos there are that DayZ's dead, DayZ's a scam.
yeah, and so at least for these people, I can understand they do these videos because they get the clicks and the views,
Yes.
and they can monetize these videos. At least with these people, I do understand why they do it, and it's because they want to, ultimately they want to scam people into making money for themselves. That I can understand. There is some legitimate, not legitimate, but real,
Real tangible benefit that you can see to why they're doing what they do.
just saying out of pure, uh, just really thinking without any like other agenda that DayZ development is a scam and nothing is being done with the game. I just can't wrap my head around that. I just don't understand it. I don't know what happened so wrong in the past of DayZ that people got the impression. Because
Yeah.
I've been here ever since the very first day DayZ Standalone got released as a fan for the first year or so, and I never really got the impression that the team completely abandoned the development. I just cannot understand how people get the idea. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's actually probably now's the best time to do it. The next DayZ Spotlight, I've got a few special guests lined up. I'll confirm them once it's all locked in. But that's actually something I'm going to be discussing in it, is why does DayZ elicit such strong emotions from people, especially the haters?
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of almost a unique phenomenon. I've never seen such hatred. Or anything other than
right.
the closest thing I can find to it is sporting team rivalry.
Yeah, that's a very, very fitting comparison, I would say.
Yeah. But, okay. We are on to the final question, sir. It's been a long haul, but we've managed to make it through.
Yeah.
Last few questions. What advice would you give to people thinking about buying DayZ? And when you answer that, I also want to. We get asked in streams a lot that I moderate in or that I'm watching. Should I buy DayZ? And after I've gone through the usual things of, do you enjoy watching it? Are you patient? It's a game of patience.
Yes.
You can go hours without seeing someone. You can die to a zombie after running for 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And then if they're still saying, yeah, I still like all that. Well, look, I would buy it if I was you. Plus, is the price going to be going up anytime soon? We've been advising people that there's a chance that the price may go up with beta and definitely at full release. Is there anything you can confirm or deny there?
So our plan, and it has been communicated a long time ago, basically all the way since the beginning.
Yep.
And whenever the first price change happened for DayZ, is that for the major releases, and that includes beta, we are going to be looking at changing the price point of the game. It is as we are getting close to that moment. It is something we are again discussing internally. How exactly are we going to approach it? So we did not have made a final decision on what the price change is going to be.
Yep.
But I would definitely want to prepare people for the fact that we would want to, as we announced, change the price point of DayZ at some point towards the beta or full
Yeah,
releases.
and that's why we've been advising it, because most of us who are doing it were aware that in the past it had been said that would happen, and usually we say it's most likely going to happen, not it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't give them a price or nothing, but yeah, it's just that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, search for making this even longer, but
No.
there is another part of answering the question whether people should already buy the game or not. Whenever they answer all these questions to themselves, if they're ready to, for what kind of game DayZ is, that's fine. But if somebody asked me right now, or even when DayZ hits experimental for the first time, if they should buy DayZ at that point, I would still be providing the answer no. I would still wait as close as possible to the last moment where we enter the beta and maybe change the price point. I would really wait for that very, very last moments before we do that change to actually make the purchase of DayZ. Because at that time you will get the most polished experience for the best price that you will be able to get at all the time. And before the actual price change happens, and when we are in that good spot where we would encourage people to start buying DayZ, we were very, very, very clearly start communicating that moment, and we were very, very openly start telling to people, okay, this is the moment where we are confident that DayZ is working well as a game, and this is the moment when we recommend you to consider the purchase that you've been maybe thinking about for some time for DayZ.
Okay, I like that answer. Now, this second last question, I want you to be as honest as possible, Martin. Don't hold back on me.
Okay.
We've got the camera thing going, so I'm going to be able to see your eyes when you answer this question. Yes, that's it. Lean into the camera. I want to see your face very clearly.
Okay.
What will you say to all the naysayers when DayZ is finally fully released in 2018? And be honest, you guys and girls have copped a lot of crap over the last 4 years, so you will be forgiven for giving some back.
I will be very honest and say, I understand the frustration that you had, guys. I understand that you had reasons to think about, DayZ. Maybe believing in that DayZ will not happen, but I will not hold it against anybody.
You are a marketing man, aren't you? If it was me, I'd be saying,
no,
up yours,
so
Jack.
Legitimately, besides the people who maybe just say that DayZ is a scam, I would maybe want to be more strict with those. But generally, just people saying who say DayZ dead game or things like this, I don't really hold it against them. It being part of the DayZ community is kind of demanding, and then being along with the game development for such a long time, it is definitely demanding. And so I would not hold any words that they had against them, as long as they in the end came back to the game, are able to enjoy it, and admit that whatever they play now is a fun game. And if they even then, when they don't want to play the game, then just then finally just leave the game and stop caring about it.
I like that answer. You are a true professional of what you do, mate. Like I said, I'd probably be a lot more blunt, but hey,
it's hard as a marketing person to say that, because it will always be seen like me saying that because I'm a marketing PR guy.
Yeah,
but I am legitimately saying this because I feel that way. So
you're a nicer man than I am, that's for sure. Now, Martin, I sent you an email about an hour or so before the interview started.
Yes.
Have you got that email open in front of you?
Let me do that. Now I do, yes.
Okay, as you can see, there is a couple of photos of a very, very charming small dog whose name is Squirrel. Now, my partner is not a gamer. Well, she sort of is, in that she plays like Mahjong on her phone and simple little games like that, but she's not a hardcore gamer, and she constantly gives me shit about gaming. And she basically said to me that if I do not ask this question, I'm not going to be allowed to do interviews anymore. So, is there any chance that this dog can make its way into DayZ, either as a companion or something like that?
Well, So here's the thing: it's not my decision to make. So I do not develop the game on my own. But that said, I think I can talk to somebody in our art team. And the way I imagine this happening is, I will take one of those lovely photos of the
Yep.
very chilled and relaxed squirrel, and I will ask our art team if it's at all possible to maybe include him as a as a picture on the wall in the
That
game or something like this. So
that would get
I,
me a lot of
no
credit with the
promises,
missus.
no promises. I don't want to cause any family trouble for you, but I will do my best and ask the team if that is at all possible, and
Martin, I will buy
we'll
you
see.
so many beers if you can get this done when you come to PAX Australia, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So hopefully that happens, and you definitely have some beers on me as well. Don't worry, there's gonna be lots of beers if that happens.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, the very last question, mate, is pretty much putting the floor over to you. Do you have anything you want to say to the DayZ community out there, both the lovers and the
Right,
haters,
right.
and everyone in between?
Yeah, to the lovers, I've said it already in one of the questions that it was not really a question, it was a message for us, and it was a message of encouragement. I want to, from my heart, just personally thank everybody who's been part of the DayZ community and part of the DayZ player base for this entire time, or at least even for part of it. So huge thank you from me personally to all the people who keep the game alive by caring about it so much as they do, because we have a huge amount of people who just put their their everything into keeping the community and the game alive. And I just want to say that we really know you guys are out there, and we really appreciate all the things that you do to keep the community and the game alive. And it's a big commitment for us to deliver for you in the end. And we definitely feel it as a little bit of a pressure for us, because we really feel like we really do need to deliver in the end for you. To all the haters, like I said, I I don't hold anything against you. We don't make it easy sometimes for people to follow the development and then to enjoy the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely understand. I completely understand. Before I was employed at Bohemia, I myself, as a regular DayZ fan, um, I just had these, times where I was like, what the hell are they doing there? I mean, I completely understand, but sometimes things happen, and you cannot always satisfy everybody. And as I said, as long as you will be able to enjoy the game in the end in one way or another, that will just make me really happy. And that goes for both the haters, uh, the lovers, and everybody in between. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's hope for a good game in the end that we all can enjoy, and we'll have all the awesome stories in
And
it.
it's my personal opinion, mate, that the lovers and the haters are the minority. That most people are sitting in between. There's a lot of people who bought the game and they're just sitting back waiting. They're okay.
Yeah,
DayZ's
yeah,
pretty shit. I'll go play something
yeah,
else. And then once
yeah.
it comes back out, when we've got those big streamers and content
Yes.
creators again,
Yeah.
with all the promo stuff happening with the console release, they're going to go, oh yeah, DayZ,
Absolutely.
I've got that in my library.
Yeah.
I'm going to reinstall that. And
Yeah.
I'm not willing to bet the farm on it, but I reckon we're going to see numbers similar to what we had when the game was first released. That's my personal belief that it's going to
Yeah.
be back up there again. Yeah, we saw that. I was so happy when I tweeted out that picture of 70,000 people watching the game. Yes, it wasn't
Right.
70,000 people playing the game, but 70,000 people were watching it. And I've seen streamers where when they change to a game that people aren't interested in, they leave. And
Yeah.
those guys who were streaming it were still having their usual numbers. So there's still
Yeah.
there's still life in this old girl. Still a lot of interest in DayZ.
Yes. And so yeah, to everybody who still cares about DayZ, or who's even like hidden there somewhere, playing other games,
Yep.
waiting patiently for the good game to be out. Thank you for either being there, or thank you for the patience, because that's what keeps DayZ alive, and that's what keeps us and the development team, being able to follow the goal of delivering the good game in the end, leaving early access and leaving 1.0 and releasing 1.0 version of the game that people will just be able to genuinely enjoy without being a broken development build.
Yep. And Martin, before we head off, what was your favorite question? We need to give away the DayZ t-shirt.
It's really hard to pick, because now I know that somebody will be actually awarded for posting that question. But for me personally, the most interesting question, and the one that I really like, giving the answer to, was probably from Wolfgeist, and him asking about how difficult it is to fight the fact that the game is widely misunderstood often, and the development is misunderstood, and how difficult it is to cope with that. So that was a well put question, and shows a lot of understanding from Wolfgeist. So
Awesome.
I appreciate that question. Thank you for the question.
I will reach out to Wolfgeist on Twitter and on Reddit. So, mate, get in contact with me, and we will organise a lovely black or white DayZ shirt to be sent to you as soon as possible.
Yay.
Martin, thank you so much for taking the time, mate. We've been
you,
going
sir.
for over 2 hours, my friend.
Oh,
so that's
you're
a lot
gonna
of
need
time.
to do a lot of editing. You're gonna need to do a lot of editing, I think.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of editing to do. There was a few times where we lost the connection and all the rest of it. But
yeah,
hey,
I am already sorry about this taking so long. Sometimes I get.
You're not the longest, mate. The longest is still, I believe, Mr. Blue and Queenie. But it was great, and I'm certain everyone.
That's two people at the same time. So that's different.
All the best, mate, and everyone, stay tuned for the next installment, which, as I mentioned before, I will be announcing who the special guests are. But we will be talking about what we've talked about a lot in this interview, but in more depth. Why DayZ elicits such huge emotions, whether it be love or hate, from its fan group. So all the best, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.
See you guys.